Resist and block, both in full and in part. In the art form of batik, these non-conditional terms are what makes this crafting endeavor so compelling and difficult. Since 1981, Post Falls, Idaho resident and artist Toni Spencer has acquired the knowledge and patience of employing the technique of waxing and dyeing fabric to create impressive pieces of art.
Everybody does their batik so differently. I'm partial to black, and I like lots of black in it. Just over the years, I've done more and more, and I'm more into the detail. I've had many people say, I've never seen so much detail in a batik as I've seen in yours, and I'm tight. It's the way it comes out of me, so it happens that way. The batik process for me starts with a pencil drawing. I have it on paper, and then I'll tape the paper to my big window and put my silk over it and trace the drawing onto the silk. And then I take that silk drawing and put it on stretcher bars with sharp pins and stretch it out flat, and it raises it up. And then I start by doing the lightest areas that are going to be in the finished batik. I wax with melted wax where I want to save that area. And then when I've waxed everything I want, I put it in the lightest color that's going to be in the batik. When I work on a batik, I have to hold it up to the light, and that helps me see what I didn't do that I wanted to do. When I first started, I usually did just one coat of wax. I take it to the dry cleaners to have the wax removed. When I get it back from the dry cleaners, I could actually see my strokes where I went across or if I went around something. And I thought, that's not good unless I want those strokes to show. What I do now is I coat it once on the front and then the back and then the front again to get it really where I'm not going to see any of my stroke marks unless I want to.
After soaking the material in a dye until it takes on the desired color, Toni then removes it, washes it, and blots it before hanging it to dry. The process of repeated waxing and dyeing is continued until all the colors in the picture are dyed into the fabric.
The fabric that I like to use most of all is silk broadcloth, and lately I've been using a silk jacquard that has a design woven into it already, and it catches the light differently and gives a little more sparkle. It also takes the dye differently. Every fabric takes dye differently. I use a combination of beeswax and paraffin so that I get some crackle, but not too much. Part of why I like batik is the crackle. In the last few years, I've been doing even more with the crackle. I'll finish a piece and then re-wax it and re-crack it and put it in a color it wouldn't have gotten if I had just gone from lightest to the darkest. And some of the cracks that are in the piece happen just naturally, especially in the bigger pieces. In the very little pieces, I crack it on purpose so that I can get that in there, because I really don't care for a piece if it doesn't have any crackle in it.
From animals to kids to musical instruments to nature, Toni's search for subject matter aligns with her interests and her desire to create compelling pieces of art.
My ideas come from things I love, and also things that somebody else might buy that I love. Because how many batiks can I do unless I can sell some of them? And I love the validation when somebody is willing to take one of my pieces home. I'm fascinated with shadows and negative shapes, which are part of batik too, because a lot of times you work around a piece before you actually do the piece, and negative shapes in art really appeal to me. I do batik because I love to create. I'm really not sure how I'm going to stop doing batik. It's very restful. Just lately, I've been working on some coloring books with some of my designs, and I didn't really enjoy the coloring part. I enjoyed making the coloring book, but I started thinking, when I'm doing the batik, it's sort of like what people are doing when they're coloring their coloring books. I'm filling in this area with color and changing it, and I thought, maybe that's why. I do batik.
If you have an idea for Northwest Profiles, send it to KSPS TV, 3911 South Regal, Spokane, Washington 99223. Northwest Profiles is a presentation of KSPS Public Television.